welcome to AM Language with another lesson. This is Tuesday, and we are looking at, well, just a subject, talk about the future. In this lesson, we are going to try, I think it restarted for me. Okay, if it restarted, then hello, welcome to AM Language. I'm Richie, and today we're talking about the future. We're going to develop our fluency today in trying to talk about different areas when talking about the future. I'm going to show you some language points that we can use to talk about different elements of the future. But nonetheless, we are going to try and do that. Arena F, hello and good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson. Thank you very much for joining. I'm just going to share the video, actually. I hope everyone's doing well. It is a Tuesday afternoon. And where I'm in the world, I suppose I would say the weather is overcast, which means it's cloudy. So let me just share. Debek, yes, Debek, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's lesson. Thank you so much for joining. So if any of you did the level test today, good luck. Well, I wish you all the best. I hope you guys did well. Today was pre-intermediate. It was the pre-intermediate level test. So hopefully all of you who did that did well. Iandina, buon pomeriggio, good afternoon, and welcome to today's lesson. As always, guys, make sure that if you're new, you subscribe. And if you want to find out more about how you can have lessons at AM Language, please make sure you click on the link below to the website where you can find out more information. Plus, as always, please follow the lesson in the live chat. So whether you're watching now or whether you're watching later, please make sure that you follow in the live chat section. So when we are talking about the future, there's different ways we can do this. And I'm just going to show you the different types of language that we can use. If you have a pen and paper, this will help because it means you can then follow. It will make it easier for you to follow because I'm going to ask some questions and we're going to have more of a conversation. But just to remind you of the different structures. Okay, first of all, you do have to going, okay, for plans, such as we are going to go to Malta to learn English, for example. When you've got the verb to be plus going to, we are using this form to talk about a future. And this is a future plan. So we can always say that this is kind of like 100% certainty. Okay. So that's probably one of the most important types of language you need to know when looking at the future. You've also got the future simple, such as we will go to Malta to learn English. Of course, here you've got this will. So when you use will, in this case, you've got will, well, it's just a future simple, so will plus verb. You're always looking at something about 90, somewhere between 90 and 100% certainty. So that's important to know. Will is not as strong as going to, okay? It's not as strong as that. But that's what you need to know. You've also got others. You've got the future continuous, which you need to know about, such as we will be traveling to Malta. In this case, you've got, now this is just a future continuous. where you've got will plus be plus your verb in the ing form, and that's your future continuous. Okay, so we need to remember that structure. Talking about an action that's going to be ongoing in the future. There is likely to be. So if we're going to talk about what we think is going to happen, we then need to remember about is likely to be. So, or not likely to be. So the weather is likely to be bad tomorrow, or it is unlikely to be. The weather is unlikely to be. Sorry, the weather is unlikely to be bad tomorrow. What we need to remember about this is as follows. You've got be plus likely plus to be. Okay, and here when we to be, okay, and when we use this is likely, this is what we think is probably or not probably, okay, or probable. So probable, actually, what we'll put probable or not probable. Okay, so we need to think about that. If it's probable, we're thinking it's about 70 to 80%. If it's not probable, then we're looking at 20 to 10%. Okay, so that is a very important one. And so Debek says, I have heard that it can be possible to learn English in Malta. How can I take these courses? Debek, what I would do is I'm going to share you this. Okay, one moment. If you want to find out how you can have lessons and how you can learn English in Malta, please go to our website. Okay, click on this link and that will take you to the website. There's a person you can talk to live as well, and there's also an email. You can always send an email to info@amlanguage.com. Okay, so that is what you need to know when, if you want to find out more information in terms of how you can have lessons in Malta. We offer, well, there's a range of different classes that you could have. And if you ever do travel to Malta, we also have a range of accommodation. So those are the important sort of grammar points we need to know. And I'm going to help you guys I'm going to ask a question with this style. Okay. So if I ask you a question in a certain way, you need to reply in this style. Finally, guys, Alida says, is it possible to talk about the future in simple present also for timetables? If you use my train leaves at 8 p.m. When it's talking about this, what time is your lesson? My time is at 8 p.m. Yes, you can use the present simple to talk about the time of your lesson. Or something. Usually it's going to be when something's recurring, like trains leave at 8 o'clock. The train leaves at 2 o'clock. So you can use it, but if you do use the present simple, you're going to be using it in this case, something that's a routine, a timetable, absolutely, and trains is such an example. So let's see how we get on first with these different types of grammar points. And then we'll progress, because I do want to try and work our way up the table. Anything that has a time set, says the leader. Yeah, pretty much. And because it is like a routine, that's why we would use it. So anything that has an element of a routine, we can use the present simple to do so. That's why we can say, I go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's a routine. That's something I do every day, for example. I drink wine, or say, let's say I read in the evenings. This is again a routine, and if it's to do with travel, we can say the train to the fast train from Rome to Venice leaves at 6 o'clock. Okay, so that is when we can use it for a timetable. So what we're going to do is I'm now going to ask you some questions. I would like you to think about the grammar of the question, and then we can have a discussion about that question in that grammar form. We do want to try and develop some fluency, but we just need to make sure that we use the correct grammar within our questions. So if I ask the question, what are you going to do for Christmas? Okay. If that's my question, if you know the answer, there's a few ways we can do it. If you know the answer, so 100%, you could say, I'm going to Rome for Christmas. Okay, so that would be 100%. If it's not 100%, okay, then you could go with, let's say, 90%. Then you could go with, I will go to Rome for Christmas. Okay, so that's another option. You might say, okay, I don't know yet. What can I say if I don't know yet? You could go with this, okay? I'm planning on going to Rome for Christmas. This is your intention. If you do this, this is your idea. You can sometimes use the present continuous, like I'm planning on going to Rome for Christmas, but this is not 100%. This isn't even 90%. This could be anything, really. This could be, I mean, this is your plan. Really, this is no different than saying, I might go to Rome for Christmas. In which case, this would be something between 40 and 50%. So grammar, the grammar you use will change the meaning of your answer. Okay, but these would be your options if I come out with something like this. So I'm now going to ask a question. Think about your answer and let's see what you guys do. Okay, so my question is, what are your plans for 2021? What are your plans for 2021 or 2021? What are your plans? Are you going to go to university? Are you going to get a new job? Are you going to start a new job? Are you going to look for a new job? Are you going to change? Are you going to move home? Live in a different place? Live in a different country? Are you going to take up a new hobby? If you were to ask me what my plans are for 2021, I've got a few answers to that question. I think one of the things that I would say that my plans would be is I'm going to write more. That's one of the things I want to do, and that's one of the things I am going to do as well. I'm going to write more. I'm going to do more creative writing. I want to see where that takes me in that sense. I'm also going to read more. So this past year, I have read more. But next year, I want to increase that. So next year, I'm going to read even more. So that would be my personal plan, for example. Maybe it's a skill that you guys want to do. I started learning something 2 years ago, actually, I think. Yeah, nearly 2 years ago. I started learning something called Krav Maga. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I have not been able to continue. But it's definitely something I would like to continue. So my plans for 2021 is to find a way to continue learning that skill. Maybe it's something slightly different. Traveling wise, I've got some traveling plans. I can't say anything certain when it comes to traveling. I would say maybe my plans. What would my plans be? Um, I will travel abroad and I will go to some European countries. I don't know which European countries yet. I hope to go to France and I hope to go to Germany and Poland if it's possible. Alida says, I'm planning on taking an English international exam. Alida, let me know which international exam you wish to take. Um, you've got a few options, um, and it depends what your reason for taking an international exam is for. So let me know why you want to take an international exam. I can always tell you. I can always tell you which types of international exams might be better for you. Um, if it's something to do with, um, if it's anything to do with university or working visas, um, then IELTS is usually the most popular one. Uh, Actually, speaking of that, we've done really well recently. We've got a big shout out to a couple of our students. I'll do this properly later on in the week, but this past week, some of our students did really well in the IELTS exam, getting the results that they wanted. Um, oh, just for yourself. Okay. In which case, you've got a few options. You've got the Cambridge, for example. You've got Cambridge exams. That's quite good. Those last a long time. You've got TOEIC. Although for me personally, I would always say it's between, and this is just my personal preference, but I would always say it's between Cambridge and IELTS. Those are the two. Those are the two ones I would always recommend, really. Um, Super Spock, thank you very much for joining the lesson. If this is your first time, please make sure you subscribe. Nice to see you here. I want to find pure description for 2021. This is very ambitious, but I'll still give it a go. It might be impossible. I want to find pure description for 2021. I'm not sure what you mean by description. Is this a type of course or something? Let me know. Leondina says, I'm planning on changing my job. I think many people are going to try and do that as well, Leondina. Wish you the best of luck with that one. Debek says, I'm planning on going to Portuguese. Do you mean Portugal, the country, or do you plan on learning Portuguese? So Debek, Portuguese is the language. If you're thinking about the country, then it's Portugal, or it could be Brazil, because both of them speak Portuguese. So let me know, are you talking about the country or are you talking about learning the language? Alida says IELTS and Cambridge are similar, question mark. Okay, the skills and the way they go about testing the skills, there are some similarities and some differences. They do test all four language skills. They test your speaking, listening, reading, and writing. The most similar parts of the exam would probably be probably the listening and one of the writing tasks. They can be fairly similar. The reading is a little bit different, though the skill set is the same. But the reading is slightly different. And then the speaking is also a bit different. So, for example, in the IELTS exam, you've got part 1, 2, and 3, and it's always to do with a conversation between you and what we would call the interlocutor, okay, the examiner. And you've got 3 different parts, but it's just you and the examiner. In Cambridge, the speaking exam, you will be with another person and they will give you, for instance, one task would be they show you some pictures and you have to talk about, with your partner, you have to talk about the similarities or you have to compare the pictures and what the pictures might be talking about. So they are noticeably different, but both. I mean, if you get your level of English is something like up intermediate, I think. I know you've previously did the first Cambridge, so you would now be looking to do the Cambridge um, Cambridge Advanced. Okay, so if you're doing a Cambridge Advanced exam, that would be like aiming for an IELTS score of 7.5 to 8. Or actually no, 7 really. So an alt score of 7 to 8 really. The preparation is slightly different though. DeBerk says Portugal. Okay, so yeah, Portugal. Like you're planning on going to Portugal. Excellent. Well done. Okay, cool. Excellent. Next thing, let's have a little look at this. I'm now going to ask you a slightly different question. And the question is, um, okay, so do you think it is likely that 2021 will be better than 2020? So here you can see that I've used this construction. Is it likely? Um, and I've used this construction with 2021. So do you think it is likely that 2021 will be better than 2020? You could rephrase this question such as, do you think 2021 is likely to be better than 2020, for example? So you can ask this question in these two ways, but you're using this is likely. Now, remember, likely is not certain, it's probable. If you think, okay, even if it's like 60 to 70%, you could say, I think it's likely to be. If you think, no, not really, then you're going to say unlikely. A leader comes out with, I hope so. Well, I think that's probably what a lot of people might say. I think everyone is hoping that 2021 is better than 2020. I have now we could say just a feeling, and if it's just a feeling, we can say gut feeling. So for me, I would say I have a gut feeling that 2021 is likely to be better than 2020. So I mean that would just be my own answer. I have a gut feeling that 2021 is likely to be better than 2020. Leondina says, in my opinion, it's likely that 2021 will be better than 2020, as I'm a positive person. Leondina, first of all, great sentence. Second of all, it's good to remain positive. I think during this period, it's so important to be positive, and to hold on to hope, um, that next year will be better, and we just have to hope it will be. I look forward to where I look forward to being able to move about again and travel like before. There is news that now they've produced a vaccine in America, other parts of the world. So hopefully we can begin to see um, an improvement on that one. Okay, so we've had a good conversation a little bit about this. I'm now going to ask a slightly different question. Um, Okay, so this is a good question that we can sometimes talk about. This is going 10 years into the future. What do you think life will be like in 2030? Here you can see that I've used a present simple. I've used what do you think, but what do you think life will be like in 2030? Um, this is sometimes a fun question to think about, and you can play around with that date 2030, 2040, 2050. What do you think life will be like? I know that when you look at films and stuff, people will say, oh, life will be really different. I don't know. I think we will have different technology, different types of technology. I think the one of the biggest differences will probably be the mobile phone. I think the mobile phone in 10 years' time will look very different. I think it's probably going to be almost a different machine. So that's one prediction I would say. But other than that, I think many things will probably be fairly similar. I think we'll still be driving cars, but again, I think maybe the majority of cars you see will be electric. So I think that's one major difference. I think most cars in 2030 will be electric or hybrid. I don't think we will see many petrol or gas cars. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers will still be around for some strange reason. For example, I think certain bands that are around today will still be around in 10 years' time, a bit like Coldplay. Um, I think they want those type of bands that doesn't matter how old they get, they will still be there, so to speak. So I think certain things like that will still be the case. I think it would be interesting to see. Um, I think when it comes to learning, uh, how many do will people still travel to learn? I hope so. I hope people will still get on a plane and travel to a different country to for education, whether it's to learn a new language or go to university to have a new experience. I hope people will still travel in that sense. Alida says in 2030, life will be more technological. Nice use. I think most jobs will be home office. Now, I think that's a really interesting idea, Alida. Most jobs will be home office. We would probably say most jobs will be. You'll be okay. Home office. How would we say this? I know exactly what you mean. I would probably say most jobs will be uh, done from home. Most people will be working from home. I think that's one we could say. Most people will be working from home. So we're going to turn this actually into a future continuous then. Most people will be working from home. That's an interesting idea. De Burke says, I think we all will be older in 10 years. Yes, I see what you're going for there. A nice little bit of humor. What I would say is, I think we will all be older in 10 years' time. So when you use the all has to come after the modal verb will, not before. Actually, I'm going to pick up on this one. Um, do you think most people will be working from home? So a leader brought this up. Let's see what other people think. Notice this is a future continuous because we've got will be working. Have a go at answering this question. Do you think most people will be working from home in 10 years' time? Okay, let's make sure we keep the time period relevant here. I'm tempted to say yes. I look. There's no doubt that the pandemic has shown that a lot of people can still do their job from home, without question. However, certain jobs, it's impossible. You can't do any customer service job. Most face-to-face customer service jobs have to be done face-to-face. You can't do it over, you know, you can't work unless there's unless there's new technology whereby you go to an airport and the hostess is on a television screen instead of being physically present. I think that would be an interesting one, to be honest, Alida. Um, what do you guys think? Do you think it's healthy? I think that's another question. Do you think I mean, is it healthy for people to work from home? I'm not sure, to be honest. Um, I think it's a nice option to have. And if you have, um, let's say, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, I think that could be a nice balance. Leondina says it's likely that most people will be working from home in less than 10 years' time. Leondina, first of all, it's likely that most people will be working. I really like that combination of grammar. You've used it is likely and linked it with a future continuous. So well done there. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. Um, most people working at home in 10 years. I mean, there's so many jobs that you can do from home if you have a computer and you know what you're doing. Um, this is it, I suppose. How many jobs do you need to go to an actual place to in order to do your job? Now, if you're a doctor or nurse, obviously that's one option. If you are in the army or if you work in the civil service, if you're a police officer, then yeah, you're going to have to go to that place to work. But I think in the private sector, if you work for a company, then yeah, I suppose you could make the argument that in the future people will be working from home more often. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, we're going to go with. Okay, let me ask you guys this question here. Let's see if you guys can tackle this one. Um, Actually, no, I'm going to change this question just slightly. Yeah, that's the wrong word. Okay, this is my next question. Do you think people will be living, do you think most people will be living in cities? Do you think most people will be living in cities? Um, Now, this is to do with housing, really. You've got a lot of interesting changes that's happening. You've got a lot of people at the moment who want to try and uh, live in a cleaner environment. You've got a lot of people who want to sort of move away from cities at the moment. Uh, a lot of people are thinking about, um, I mean, living in cities has become really expensive. Um, and I suppose there's a question. I think most people will still work in cities, but will most people still be living in cities? And that could be an interesting one. Um, I think one of the big let's give this a timeline. Let's say, do you think most people will be living in cities in the year 2040? Okay, well, so we're going to go 20 years into the future. Okay, we're going to go 20 years into the future. We know at the moment that there's a really big push when it comes to clean energy, clean housing, clean cars, a lot of climate change ideas of how we can change our lifestyle. Um, there's quite an idea that people will still live in cities. No, sorry, will still work in cities, but will most people be living in cities? Now, I'm going to give you one example, and that is Venice. So, a lot of people work in Venice. However, a lot of people who work in Venice don't live in Venice. It's become too expensive to live there, and it's very touristy, and it's very expensive to keep these buildings going. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future if people sort of started to live further out, further away from cities. They might be living in small towns, villages, in the countryside, but the idea of living in a big city, in a flat, I'm not so sure if that's what people are going to do. Let me know. You can always talk about your country specifically. I think it's one of the big problems in London, for example. London is very expensive, um, far too expensive, actually. To earn the type of money you need to earn in order to live comfortably is a silly amount of money. So a lot of people are now trying to uh, find places to live that are outside the city. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case in other places. Um, it does depend what type of city, I suppose. You've got some smaller cities where this might be a little bit different. But I do know it's something that's probably a question at the moment in the United Kingdom. In Malta, for example, this is an interesting one because Malta is a very small country, but within Malta, you've got your main sort of areas. And these main areas, like Sliema, have become very expensive to live in. However, there's lots of opportunities for people to live outside of these main areas, and you get more for your money, really. Debek says it is likely that some people will be living on the moon in the nearest 30, 40 years, but I have not sure that people will be tend to live outside uh, ma- mega cities. Okay, Debek, close with that one. You started off well. It is likely that some people will be living on the moon. Good. In the nearest, yeah, you over here in. You don't need that bit. In 30 to 40 years. In 30 to 40 years, that's all you need then. In 30 to 40 years. Okay, that's all you needed there. And then, oops. Okay. But I have, but go with the present. I'm not sure that people will here go with the future continuous be living in mega cities. Okay, then that would be a good overall answer. It says growing up home, working. I suppose that most people won't be living in cities. Growing up at home, growing up at home. That's all you needed there. Let's go in for the last question. And my last question is going to be in a conditional, um, which would be the leader says there is an important move regarding the care of environment, and also big cities have a high cost of living. So probably a percentage of the population will move to the countryside. Really good answer, Alida. Well done. Yes, a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good structures there. Easy to follow. So let me ask you this last question in a conditional, and we'll see how you guys do in trying to answer it. Okay. If electric cars become the norm, now the norm means the normal, basically, but we can go with the norm when we're talking about normal. Do you think more people will take public transport? This is a first conditional. You start off with, you've got if plus present simple plus will and then plus infinitive. Okay, that's a first conditional. And you're talking about something of 90%. So, what do you guys think? If electric cars become the norm, do you think more people will take public transport? Do you think people will think, maybe electric cars aren't as fun, maybe they're too expensive, so many reasons, and maybe therefore people will take the public will maybe more people will take public transport. Maybe the idea is that the majority of people take public transport. Is public transport the best answer? Um, it'd be interesting to see. Um, I have never driven. No, I don't think I have. I've never driven an electric car before. I'm not sure what to make of them, to be honest. Some of them look really impressive, but very expensive, and others seem almost like a fun go kart, so to speak. Um, I suppose the question is will it still be fun to drive an electric car for some people if you do enjoy driving? Um, it'd be interesting to see. But maybe before we know, maybe it's not going to be electric car. Maybe there's another type of car that will come in that's not electric, but that's clean energy. So that's a possibility as well. So let's see what you guys come out with on for this one, and this will bring us as well to the end of the lesson. Um, yeah. Do you think if cars become the norm, do you think more people will take public transport? I hope in Malta, for example, I think this is a big question in Malta. For those of you in Malta or who know what Malta is like, it's a small place. The public transport system is not brilliant, but again, you really could say if they had a good public transport system, maybe that would be better. And I think that is a good argument. I don't think an underground would work. I think I think a tram system could be good in Malta. Instead of a bus or anything like that, I think a tram system. I think if Malta had a good tram system, that could be a good answer. The problem is Malta's a lot of streets in Malta are narrow. So I don't know. Maybe a tram system is the answer. Yet again, though, I could be completely wrong. Traffic is already a problem, so that would probably cause a lot of problems. Alida says probably most people will take public transport due to the high cost of electric cars. Quite possibly. I mean, if we look at anything that Tesla or BMW or Audi, come out with. These are very expensive cars. I don't know. And then you've got others. You've got Nissan. You've got like the cheaper models. You've got Nissan, Hyundai, Honda, and they're decent. They're still expensive. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Well, guys, thank you so much. We've spoken about the future today, and today it has been very much more of a fluency whereby we ask questions and answers. And we also sort of expressed ourselves, trying to use different grammar points as well. Once again, guys, I'd like to remind everybody, if you want to find out more about how you can have live English lessons in Malta, physical lessons, please click on the description below and you will find the link to our website. That is where you can go. You can also find our contact details to find out more. Please make sure you like the video, and if this is your first time, subscribe. I will be back tomorrow, same time at 3 o'clock, and in tomorrow's lesson, we are going to look at something called prefix. So what is a prefix and when do I use them? That is the subject of tomorrow. So make sure you join me for that, because that's going to be a very, very helpful lesson. Thank you ever so much, guys, and take care and see you tomorrow. Thank you, Alida, for your participation today. Arena F as well. Debek, thank you very much. Leondina as well. Thank you for your contributions. Super Spock as well. Thank you. And anyone else who has watched and participated today, thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon and evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.